news, well, history and politics. And the White House is actually doing a very good job keeping us informed of what's going on. What the White House website and communication is doing at whitehouse.gov is an excellent resource for you to find out how the United States administration is planning and executing what it is that they're going to do. So, at the very least, you don't have to get caught up in the CNN, Fox, whatever that stuff is. You get it right from the White House. Now, they're going to spin it, and anybody is, well, no, I guess I can't say that because looking at the comments, everybody is not intelligent enough to know when somebody's putting spin on something. But we have something new. It's not just convict leasing. It's not just deporting immigrants. It's not just I can't even remember what the other thing was, but now American history. Trump is formally coming after how American history is being represented. Now, being a university professor of American history, this is my gig, okay? I'm really concerned about this, and I'm interested. I'm vested in it. So let's see what's going on. By the authority vested in me as the president of the United States, as the president, by the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America, it is hereby ordered. Over the past decades, Americans have witnessed concerted, widespread effort to rewrite our nation's history, replacing objective facts with a distorted narrative driven by ideology rather than truth. The revisionist movement seeks to undermine the remarkable achievements of the United States by casting its founding principles and historical milestones in a negative light. Under this historical revision, our nation's unparalleled legacy of advancing liberty, individual rights, and human happiness is reconstructed as inherently racist, sexist, oppressive, and otherwise irredeemably flawed. Rather than fostering unity and a deeper understanding of our shared past, the widespread effort to rewrite history deepens societal divides and fosters a sense of national shame, disregarding the progress America has made and ideals that continue to inspire millions around the globe. Prior administrations advanced this corrosive ideology at Independence National Park in Philadelphia, where our nation declared all men were created equal. Prior administration sponsored training by an organization that advocates the dismantling of Western foundations and interrogating institutional racism, and pressured National Historical Park rangers and their racial identity should dictate how they convey history, blah, blah, blah. Once respected symbol of excellence and global icon of cultural achievement, the Smithsonian has in recent years come under the influence of a divisive race-centered ideology. Cut through the chase. Museums in our nation's capital should be places where individuals to go learn and not be subjected to ideological indoctrination or divisive narratives. To advance this policy, we will restore the Smithsonian to its rightful place as a symbol of inspiration of American greatness, igniting the imagination of young minds, honoring the rich and the richness of American history, innovation, in instilling pride in the hearts of all Americans. Now, I can say I do believe that there is some part of the people who are behind this that they believe that is coming from a genuine place. These are indelibly white people. These are white people. We are removing what happened to natives. We are removing what happened to black people. We're removing what happened to women. We are removing the Japanese internment camps. We're removing the Trail of Tears. We're removing Mexico being stolen. We're removing slaves being taken from Africa. We're removing this because white people look bad. Now, is that not true? No, it's true. People of European descent in this country, in the context of American history, are horribly represented. The problem is it's true. We are the beneficiaries of one of the worst settlements. We are a country built on genocide, reinforced by stolen labor, in a society that desired financial gain so much that they ill-equipped half of the population, women, to participate, and divided itself by economic classes to take advantage of even the poor whites. As a university professor whose primary area of research is the United States, it is a constant concern that you don't seem anti-patriotic. It is a constant concern that you don't seem as though you hate the country or that you're turning people off of America. It's not just you don't want people, white people, to feel bad. It is very difficult to explain to people that you love the country because of and in spite of. And if you don't know what you're loving the country in spite of, if you don't even know it, can you really love it? It's like if you're married to somebody and you don't know their faults. Are you really invested when you don't know them? It's like if somebody goes out with you on the first date and they're like, "Oh, I love you so much," and you're like, "You don't even know me." But when you experience the worst of someone and you say, "Despite your worst, I will never leave you," that's love. And that's the job of the American historian in America. Is to say, this is it. This is what happened. This economic miracle, this miracle of innovation, this society of this experiment of freedom, democracy, and liberty. This is how it came about. There is a beauty in the story of America, despite most of it being horrid. And to characterize this as The revisionist movement seeks to undermine the remarkable achievements of the country and its founding principles in the negative light. Under this historical revision, the nation's unparalleled legacy of advancing liberty and individual rights is reconstructed as inherently racist. It is. Sexist. It is. Coverture. White women couldn't participate in voting until 1920. The country started in 1776. 1920, 200 years later almost, they couldn't participate. And then the rest of the women could, because we say that the 19th Amendment is when all women could vote. It's not. That was when white women could vote. White women spent the next 45 years fighting for all the rest of the women not to get vote, black women in particular, because all the rest of the women could not vote until the 1965 Civil Rights, the 1965 Voters' Rights Act. Oppressive. It was. It still is. We had redlining. We had Plessy versus Ferguson. We've had slavery. We had coverture. We had Trail of Tears. We had multiple Native American treaties broken. We had the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, where Mexico was taken and a treaty was signed at gunpoint. This country was built on oppression. It is what it is. The poor are still oppressed, whites included. So this coming from the White House, I do believe that somebody believes this. If I grew up rich, if I grew up as a politician, I grew up in a politician's family, I grew up on Capitol Hill, I grew up in New York City, that is not part of my reality. The hard streets of a inner city or a coal mining town or an agricultural city where they're working from sun up to sundown, that's not part of their reality. So these people in the White House who are interning or whatever, that's not part of their reality. So they're thinking the America that we were told about is the real America. That's my America, and I want my America represented. And most university professors don't teach the nuances of the country's formation as it was. So it's very easy to not understand American history. It's very easy to say the 19th Amendment gave women the right to vote. It didn't. The 13th Amendment freed all the slaves. No, it didn't. The 14th Amendment gave everyone equal protection under the law. If that was so, we wouldn't have needed the 1965 Civil Rights Act. The 15th Amendment gave black people the right to vote. No, it didn't. If it did, we wouldn't have needed the Voters' Right Act of 1965. So there's a lot of horrid teaching in United States history. But to say it was not racist, it was not sexist, it was not oppressive, and it was not otherwise irredeemably flawed. It is irredeemably flawed because our country does not want to redeem it. Our country, since before the formation of the country, North America was settled by Europeans for financial gain. It's income property. It was built on a financial model of no expense for land, because we murdered the people that was on it and we took it. No expense for labor, and the three modes of production is land, labor, and capital. So there were countries, France, Spain, England, that were hundreds of years older than the United States, that we caught up with economically because we didn't have to buy land. We didn't have to pay for labor. Therefore, our capital went crazy. There is a reward, but there is always a cost. There are people that either don't know or don't want to focus on, who feel that that's not the most important part of United States history. But for that to be the case, for that to be the case, you have to remove other people's experience in the United States. So for me not to tell the sexist part of the United States, I have to remove the struggle of women out of United States history. For me to remove racism out of the story of the United States, I have to remove Mexicans, I have to remove Asians, I have to remove Black people, I have to remove immigrants. That is the story of the United States. That's our labor force. So how can I tell that story? What is the story going to be if we go by this Trump mandate, which I understand? Well, it's just the Smithsonian. It's not where he's saying it's going to affect your university. Well, here's where we go. Number one, if people buy into this ideology, donors are going to take their lead from what's happening at the Smithsonian, and definitely so are other museums. So that's going to affect what university professors are hired, how the classes are going to be taught, how the department leads the United States history classes being set up. Is this a good thing? My question is, it a sincere thing? Or let's just address the elephant in the room. Is this America or is this white people? Is this white people throwing a tantrum? Because most people don't even know American history. And the problem is, it's claiming that these things are untrue. That there's a shorthand version. They put out the actual executive order, and then they have like an abbreviated sheet with notes, so you'll know. And they're basically saying that these things that is painting the country in this light aren't true. History is book, chapter, verse. Who, what, when, where, why. Did it happen? If we have primary and secondary sources that prove something occurred, the interpretation of that has nothing to do with it. Its existence is what's important. And the Trump leadership on what's happening with the Smithsonian, of taking out these histories that makes people feel bad, is not good for women. It's not good for Black people. We're going back to history as it was in the 1970s and the 1980s and the 1990s. We are making America great again. So when was history inspiring? When was history not in a negative light? When we were saying the 13th Amendment freed the slaves? When we were saying George Washington chopped down the cherry tree and said, "I cannot lie, it was I." That never happened. The 13th Amendment did not stop slavery. Read it. It says you can have slaves as long as the court says you do. That's what the 13th Amendment says now. So, we have the discriminatory regulations taken off of businesses. We have the convict leasing, shipping immigrants and American citizens to El Salvador. And the trifecta, month number 4, is changing American history. Here's the good news. If this continues just the rest of this year, if Trump stays at this, I don't want to say white supremacy, because what he's doing is not really white supremacy. I mean, I guess in a way it is. It's just it's not. I can't even say it's not dangerous. It's more white preference than white supremacy. Tell history that makes white people look good. Make the Smithsonian for Black history a white building, just like all of the other Smithsonian buildings. Actually said that. I don't think he's going to be able to do most of this. But what he's doing is fanning that flame, that ideology of getting race-minded, white America enthused groups excited. Now, I don't know if he is doing this because his economic plan is tanking the country. I don't know if he's going to pull back quick enough before it actually goes bad. But if this turns into the crap show that it looks like it's going to, this is going to make a period that has a name. If this continues on the trajectory, if he picks up speed, if this is just the beginning, this is going to be a renaissance. This is going to be a depression. This is going to be an awakening. This is going to be something in history that 30 years from now, people are going to be saying, you were alive during that time. What was it like? Just like the people who grew up during the war on drugs. Pay attention. This may be very historically important if this is allowed to continue.